Hello, hello, hello. It's Thursday night. What's going on? Welcome to the channel. I'm Kyle AA0Z, and I got Mike, VA3MW. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Kyle. How are you?
Good. Hello, everyone to the chat. Got Cooley and Bradley, Scott, Bill, Arthur. Bill's saying he's got a 6700, a TGXL, and a PGXL. Bringing the whole stack, Bill. Nice.
You know, when you retire, you get to buy all this stuff. You don't want to give it to your kids.
You don't. My audio is a little jittery. I don't know if my video is a little jittery, but we're just going to roll with it. So today we're going to talk about Flex and the Aurora and adaptive pre-distortion. Mike is no stranger to the channel. It's been on many, many times. So, Mike, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to play a little video. And we're going to stop it halfway through, and we're just going to take it from there. And then also, if you got a question for Mike, put it in the chat, and we'll get to it, and Mike can answer it. He's monitoring the chat also, so he'll be able to see it. So let's play this video. Let me see if I can cue it up, because I think this is a really cool video. Now, this is you at Hamvention, correct?
In May.
In May. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to see basically you doing some demo with the new Aurora system and basically a key down with it, correct?
Yeah, and keep in mind, I've been at Hamvention at this point, this is Saturday, since Tuesday.
Oh, geez. Do you usually get in on Tuesday and then you stay until...
and then we start.
And then you stay until Monday
morning.
Okay, so we're gonna play this video. It's very cool. Now, watch what's going on in this video. Take a good gander.
And good morning, everybody. It's Saturday at Dayton. It's the crazy day. You guys, we've pushed everything in Aurora. You've seen the technology. Yeah, it's all new stuff. But okay, let's get rid of the, how do we do it and whatever. The point is we're doing 500 watts in a single box radio. So we're still opening up. I wanted to do this while it's quiet. You saw yesterday that we had this heating up to 200 degrees. It sat at 200 degrees all day.
It's a dummy
load. It sat about 80 Fahrenheit or just shy of, what's the 80s, 20, I forgot.
It was
Celsius. It was 26
almost
Celsius.
30 degrees.
Almost 30 degrees Celsius and we were, I kid you not, this is a real brick. And it is, we have padding on it.
Drop it on your foot, Mike.
Well, you can hear it.
Just to prove it.
Yeah. And a nice J38 key.
It's a real key,
and it's a real key. And we had it in transmit all day long. Okay, so that's cool. That's great. I can run FT8. You know what? You're on AM. You're an AM guy. You can mash that pedal for 30 minutes and nobody's going to care. Especially not the radio. Well, your friends might care. But now that we've got this all in one box, how many of you go to your summer house and you got to drag the radio, the amplifier? I'll get it the next trip. You don't have to. This will actually do carry-on luggage if you're a de-expedition or a mini de-expedition. Maybe just you're going on a vacation where you're going to operate for some days. You can take 500 watts in one carry-on bag because it runs from 84 volts to 260 volts AC. Now, it doesn't run on DC, and that's not the market it's for. But we have had some pota discussions where people have come in and said, well, if I have to, I can crank it on pota at 500 watts. And I only have to carry a little Honda generator with me. Those things sip fuel, so you cut down on your weight. If you saw yesterday, we were running at 110 volts at God knows how much extension cord running around here. We sat at 499 to 501 watts all day long, and we were drawing 6.7 amps, right, Andy?
That's about it.
So I want to stop it there. I mean, 7 amps at 110 volts, that's pretty impressive.
That's less than your toaster.
Exactly. It is, I mean, what you guys have done with putting a 500 watt amplifier in the same footprint as a 8400 and 8600 and gotten that performance out of it is extraordinary.
Yeah, it's I was going to say it's 6 years in the making, but it's 6 years in the making with Flex Radio.
Yeah.
Started back in 1952 with, oh crap, no, I forgot his first name. His last name was Kahn, Kahn. And the technology is not that new because they do it in places where you can run an amplifier in non-linear, like Class D type of thing. But those are generally in commercial single frequency sort of things, right? So,
and I mean, yeah, you guys have been working on this for a while. Why do you think other manufacturers have not done this before? What do you have, like, some indication on why? I mean, is it because it's so tough and they just don't want to tackle it and put the R&D into it, or what do you think's going on there?
that's a really good question. I don't know if I've got a good answer. I've got some
Yeah.
guesses on it. There's some parts of the HF radio industry, not amateur, where this is a game changer, but it's not been done in SSB communications. If you think of anything commercial that might be portable or have to run on battery or might need an extra 3 dB gain, and usually all of those was like the triangle. There was like, you could have more power, but you needed more battery, or you needed a heavier battery. So you had weight was an issue. So this sort of checks all the right boxes in moving forward in the technologies from, I can get more power with more RF power with less power and less weight.
Yeah.
So I just don't know if it had been, somebody sold it to the right executive or the right board officer or whatever that say, let's fund it. I don't want to see the bill of money we have invested in this for 6 years.
Well, I mean, that's the great thing about Flex Radio is you guys are a big enough company that you guys have the smarts to do this, but a small enough company that if somebody decides that they want to take on some crazy R&D project like this, that it can be done. I can't imagine. Here I'm going out on a limb, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for this. I couldn't imagine, like,
Won't be the first time.
yeah, right. Go watch my What's Wrong with Contesting video. For some good commentary. The suits in Japan, sitting around a boardroom in Yaesu saying, you know what, we need to put in a couple of $1 million into this new technology and develop. I'm sure that they probably had that discussion, but I don't think that is probably something that they are is in their wheelhouse or they're comfortable doing.
I think it's the fear to lead the way.
Yeah.
The commitment of funds. There's a risk in the amateur radio hobby until we get the average age going in the other direction and we boosting our ranks. Now, maybe that's getting better in the US. I don't think it is in Canada as much, but we have so many youth programs going on now. So if you're part of those, please support them because we need them, right?
Yeah.
And the good news is in HF radio communications, not just amateur, we are now seeing that the dependence on cell towers or satellites is, when it works, it's great, but if they go away, happened in Western North Carolina after the hurricane.
Yeah, Helene.
And Thomas, it was a K4SWL, has a whole story about how they went to ham radio and were able to supply handhelds to neighbors and stuff, not licensed, but got them propane and water and stuff. And here's a good write-up in Wired magazine, by the way.
Yeah.
On what happened there. So I think we're seeing more of okay, well, maybe we've saturated that technology. What's old is new again, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the nice thing, I mean, you've nailed the hammer on the head, or the head on the hammer, or whatever that saying is about. There is I in the last year bought a KPA 500 for my Flex 8600, and it is a mess of wires. Right, wasn't going to put the PGXL is down the road a little bit. I wanted something in the interim, and I'm like, okay, I'll spend $1,800 on a used KPA 500, and got one from a local ham, and that thing has served me right. But it's 2 boxes. And also, I run it remote, so I've got another challenge on getting Node-RED configured correctly. And we've had some issues with Node-RED and serial communication. And you've put out a couple of videos on death to the RS-232 port, which sometimes the RS-232 port talks to Node-RED through USB. Sometimes it doesn't. We've blown up the amp once. We had to have it rebuilt. And then we've got this slew of wires all over the contest station. Man, it would be nice if I could, the goal is to get a PGXL, but it would have been nice to just have an Ethernet cord or have the Aurora there. So it's all configured into one box, or, for the PGXL, literally just have power and an Ethernet cord and coax out. And that's it.
I might have a slide that sort of shows your situation.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You want to
hint. We were practicing this, or I'll let him share it.
Yeah. Here, let's.
But 100% correct. So a typical 500 watt station is the radio, the tuner, the power supply, and the amplifier. And it sort of looks like this. And there's nothing wrong with it. We've used it for years. We haven't touched the transmitter in a ham radio transmitter in generally over a century.
Yeah, it's been
a Class A amplifier in all transmitters, because we vary between modes, and the safe thing is to run Class A. And if you don't understand amplifiers or Class A, it means it's linear. I mean, it's a sort of garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you send it, it'll amplify. Which is whether it's AM, FM, sideband, CW, or TTY, or whatever. And so, here we have, with 100% of respect, a very normal HF station with a power supply, the radio, the amplifier, and probably the waterfall. So you know who the vendor is, and I'm not picking on them because we're good friends with them. But and then we've let's see if we get the focus in the right place here. We've replaced it, and now it looks like this.
Yeah.
And it does the same thing. And it weighs 17 pounds. And yes, it sounds like a commercial.
I was going to ask, what is the weight? And so it's 17 pounds total.
And it draws, you don't have to wire your shack. It draws 7 amps at full power.
Well, and also, so the one thing that I don't think people realize too is that is an AC plug on the back.
Yes.
That's not a power pole connector.
There's no 12 volts operation on this.
Yeah, it is all AC. Now, that could be an issue if you want to run portable, right, with this thing. But, you talked about a generator, get a small one of those, go get a Predator from Harbor Freight for $300. And
they're what, a kilowatt or so?
Yeah. I think they're like 1,800 watts or maybe even 2,000 watts.
Right.
But, that's one cost that you don't have to deal with, is you just plug this directly into your mains and you're up and running.
Yeah. And
I mean, that saves you $400 right there if you want a linear.
It's cheaper, by the way, if you go to buy everything comparable and new. It's less expensive. The so I we got cornered. Well, it doesn't run on 13.8. I don't want it. And I said to every person that cornered me at Dayton, I said, really, have you actually run your radio on a battery this century? Usually followed by, well, no, but there might be a time. And more importantly now, generators. In the 70s and 80s, it was impossible to run a radio off 12 volts for any period of time. It's gotten a little better. But you get the idea. So we were at, and don't tell me you can't do it in a pota situation. We were at Seaside a couple of weeks after Hamvention. And if you've ever been to Seaside, it's a beautiful event and a nice little town on the coast of the Pacific. And it's got this huge beach. And Friday night we go out for a walk, and there's a whole bunch of people operating sort of pota on the beach. There's like 8 or 9 people. And we go all the way down to the surf line. And I got their call. I'll have to look it up. So a dad and a son sitting there, and they're running pota. Kyle, I kid you not, and I've got a picture with a hot water 101.
A what?
Heathkit Hot Water 101 tubed HF radio
On the beach?
on the beach.
Oh my gosh.
That was so cool.
What did? Wow. No, okay, I'm gonna have to. Let's see.
We should talk about the show. I can go pull the picture up. Yeah, HW-101 Heathkit. You're not old enough to know what it is.
Well, I've seen these. Yeah. Let me.
You've seen them you've seen them in the.
Oh
flea
yeah.
market. Hundreds of them.
Here, let me share my screen here. Yeah. So add to scene. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to remove here. Yeah. So there it is.
And kudos to them. If I grab my
doing pota with it.
Slack, I can look up their call sign, and they were making contacts. But the point being, they're it's the sort of the story. There's no perfect radio, of course, right? So if portable 12-volt operation is your thing, then yeah, you need that radio. And we decided to let go. So now no more power pole discussion.
Wait, you got to power pole the world. You got to power pole the world. But anyway, it's great that you don't have to have a power supply.
I had a club meeting last night with the South Florida group, I think, and they're rebuilding their shack, and this is what they're probably going to replace it with.
Yeah,
because at a club level, it's incredibly simple.
Oh, Ken got me. That is not a Heathkit 101. Oh, did I bring up the wrong picture?
Oh, I wasn't watching. Well, I can. I'll catch up in a minute.
Sorry, Ken.
SB 101 or 102. Yeah, they look sort of the same, but
gotcha. Sorry,
he's not wrong, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
I operated one before I got my ticket in a presentation.
I am the world's worst. I mean, not that I know Heathkit, but I am the world's worst at model numbers, and and somebody could give me literally a model number, and I could tell you, oh, it's an ICOM. They're like, no, it's an Yaesu. And I'm like, well, I was close. Okay, so you guys took pre-orders at Dayton, and I'm assuming people can still pre-order this if they want.
Yeah,
right? Just
send us an email. Go to the website, flexradio.com, poke around. There's videos and stuff there. Email us at Aurora. I think they should have done an alias for Northern Lights, but anyway, Aurora at flexradio.com. And, Andy or I'll get back to you. And
okay.
The interest has been huge.
I bet so.
Not only that, we had several people at Dayton come up to us who are in the industry in different areas and said, you know what you did, right? You upset the apple cart. This is disruptive. Well, we're good at disruptive. We disrupted it with receivers, and now we're doing the polar modulation technology, which is what it's called under the covers.
Yep.
In the transmitter. It's like DSP for the transmitter.
Let's real quick. Let's see. Let me go back. Hang on. Let's forward this video to
what's inside.
Yeah. Hang on. So let me get to that point and let me stop. Okay, let me add this to the scene. Let me take you out. So let's take a look. You know what? I don't know if I shared my. Hang on, I got to share with audio here. Share with audio.
So I'll set this up. So what Kyle's going to show you is a video, the other half of the video, if you haven't seen it. And I'm sure we could punt the video into the stream here, but the link. But what's under the covers?
Yeah. So here we go.
And away you go.
Oh, hang on. It's not playing audio.
And
what's going on?
If you could just go up to the frame, I can talk through it. But,
yeah. Okay. Hang on.
So 17 pounds, which is just slightly heavier than the other Flex 1000. Oh, did you get it?
Let's go around the corner.
There you go.
Take a look at the back. It should be very familiar to you if you are a Flex owner, a 6000 series, 6400, 6600. Looks pretty familiar on the back. What's going to look a whole lot different is it's got an AC power supply in it.
Yeah, and the weight. Do you want to? Oh, So you ever asked what all the space was for? We were saving it. It didn't work out that way.
That's just it.
That's just it. So this is the entire power unit. That's the tuner, or is that the bandpass filters? I can't remember, but there's a tuner and the bandpass filters and the power amplifiers all underneath this. There's 2 AC power supplies over there because I think, and I should check, it's 96 volts. Those 248 volt power supplies.
Yeah.
And still have some space to do stuff. And this will be in an M model. This has a nice glow to it.
I wish
We're not.
So, okay, hang on. I got a question. Whenever you guys were designing the 6000 series and the 8000 series, you guys put that space in there knowing that you were going to do something later with it?
There was a bunch of things we wanted to do later, and there's still a bunch of things we want to do later.
Wow.
But the whole key was that the front face panel was going to be the same size as the Maestro.
Wow. I didn't pick up on that. Because I've opened my 8600, probably voided the warranty.
No, you don't void the warranty by popping the covers.
I opened it up and I was just like, oh, look at all this space. Because my other radio is a 6700. It don't have any space whatsoever because it's a 2U form factor and everything else is a 4U. But yeah, I just assumed that space was just, to let it breathe,
like a PC.
Yeah, more space the better. But you guys had plans.
There was a couple plans. I don't want to say them out loud.
Right. Yeah.
And you could sort of guess there was, plans about building VHF and UHF in there, and that still could happen.
Right.
I'm not pre-announcing anything. We sit down and have the same conversations we all do if we were at breakfast one day, going, Flex really needs to do this. Yeah, we know and we welcome your ideas, but we've been there, and it's that's why it's fun to be there. It sort of comes down to it's economics. How fast can you build it? How inexpensively, can you build it without burning through a lot of money?
Yeah.
And can you sell enough to make all that money back? And if you've ever run a business, you know exactly what we're saying. Unless you get grandpa comes through and gives you 10 million to play with.
Yeah. Well, I love whenever you come on our speculation streams and, we're just throwing out weird ideas like, when's the UHF VHF, or when's the satellite, the 9700 killer coming, and, stuff like that. And you just, you just smile in the background. You were sitting on your couch and you're just smiling in the background.
Yeah. This is I just flip the picture to the setup we had at Dayton, and there's a couple of slides here we want to walk through too. So, snap photo. We're going to get to your question here in a minute. Yeah, and the 8000 series has more processing power. So this is from Dayton. And we put a sign on that says "Hot, do not touch." And there's a reason women live longer than men, because every guy comes over. We had to stop it at Friedrichshafen because the bench was a little smaller. Oh yeah, and they put their hand on it. And so we didn't run it quite for 8 hours. We only let it get warm, and we'd shut it down and start it up and shut it down. And then, but if you can see this picture of the Unity, I'm going to give Unity a plug because they're my latest, greatest technology company, and they show up at Hamfest, and they make a really good product.
Is that the thermal camera?
That's the thermal camera. Yeah. So I think you can see my mouse, right?
Yeah.
So this is a dummy load. The hottest part there is the temperature up here, which is 194.6, where it's white.
Wow.
And then you notice you can't even see the radio in the picture, but it's right back here.
Oh yeah.
It's not even warm. It's 77 Fahrenheit.
Wow.
And you know what that also means? It's quiet.
It doesn't give a good hum.
Doesn't have a fan. It has a fan, but it's not a fan running at full fan speed, right?
Yeah.
So nobody's quite invented a way to move air in a hurry without making some noise. Otherwise, we would all own quiet vacuum cleaners by now.
Yeah. They haven't invented the the silent vacuum cleaner or the silent fan.
Yeah. There's one. Remember I said I was going to fix this slide? I never did.
Yeah, he never did.
So, and then we have the all-in-one transceiver for the M model, which I think if you've used Flex Radio, you understand fully. So yeah, you could grab it and go.
Yeah. So the M model's got the Maestro built onto the front panel, right?
Yep.
And that is an 8-inch screen, correct?
Yeah, it's the only one with an 8-inch screen. Everybody else uses 7.
And that's so I've got a Maestro, and it's just the Maestro is the standalone unit, right? That's
correct.
And then it just plugs into Wi-Fi or Ethernet, runs Smart SDR on the Maestro or on the tablet with all your knobs and buttons, and then it just talks to your radio automatically.
Yeah, you know how you said earlier in Node-RED dealing with USB was a nightmare?
Yes.
That's why we don't do USB.
Yeah.
Everything's on the network.
Putting everything, on TCP or UDP or, all of the magic behind the scenes is great. It's everything should be Ethernet.
Yeah.
Everything.
And if you're not familiar with the product, this means that you could run, if you were using the PC version or of the client, you run that on one computer, and maybe your logbook's on a different computer, maybe WSJT's on a different computer. You don't have to have everything on the same computer. You can put them on 3 or 4 or 5 different things, and they still communicate beautifully with each other.
Yeah, we have Smart SDR running on 4 different computers throughout the state, and people just log into Smart SDR through SmartLink and use the radio. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to address where is it? Snap photos question here. I think is the headroom the same between the 8600 and the Aurora for future updates?
By headroom, I gather you mean the ability to run new features and functionalities. If that's the question, yes.
Okay.
It's the same receiver generally.
I would assume it's just the same receiver as the 8600,
right.
Just now with a
different transmitter.
Yeah. Let's see. Jody says Mike should have had the Flex logo on the heatsink for the dummy load, so the offenders who would touch it will at least get.
Yeah, we did, but it was so hot the glue let go.
That's great, Jody. He's been branded for life. I don't know why that's so funny. Here, set on it.
Not bad for a guy from Saskatchewan.
That's funny. All right. What else you got in that slide deck, Mike?
Okay, let's go. We had a whole bunch of advertising, but we were talking about this, and this will sort of lead into the other conversation you wanted to have.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar, one of the tests everybody does on HF radio is called the intermodulation distortion test, or IMD. And typically, if you look at the white box on the slide, most radios are between, I forgot what the FCC requires. I think it's minus 32, but I'd have to go look it up. Or 25 to 30 dB down for that IMD3, which is when you mix these 2 tone signals. Oops.
It's Leonard. Yeah, Leonard. Yeah.
Here we go. We lost everything.
Uh-oh.
That's what happens when we use a magic mouse. Let's get rid of this. Leonard Kahn. Bear with me. God, it's like we didn't even practice this, but we did.
We're doing it live.
Yeah, I can't even.
Mike called me up earlier in the week. It's like, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, I don't know. We'll figure it out whenever we get on the stream.
All right. And if you haven't noticed, we do this every time. So back to the IMD. And I only ever have this problem using a Mac. People love their Mac. Don't ever buy a Magic Mouse because you grate. Anyway, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So when you do an IMD test, you take 2 audio signals and you transmit them at the same time. They're not harmonically related. So that means like 700 hertz and 1300 hertz, or 1100 hertz and 1900 hertz, or
Right.
it doesn't really matter. But they do their mathy thing, and you generally produce all these IMD signals all the way across. And if you were to go do this on some other radio, you'll see that the third one, IMD3, which is right here, will be less than this in power strength, but it might only be 25 or 30 dB down. Now, 30 dB is 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times weaker, right?
Yep.
We are almost 50 dB down, which is almost unheard of
Yeah.
in the amateur. So that we say 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 times weaker.
Wow.
If we were to put this on a graph that looked linear, we don't have enough, it would be noise. And why do I have two screens here? Well, in the Flex radio world, we have the ability to listen to our transmitted signal in the RF domain, like actually right off the air.
Yep.
So the bottom slice here, you'll see it's got blue here. It says RXB. That means it's using a receiving port that probably doesn't have an antenna on it, because I had somebody produce this for me. But this is the actual transmitted signal. This is the actual signal going out on the air. We're listening it to like we're on a whole other radio.
On the other SDU, right?
On the other SCU.
SCU, yeah.
Yeah, and this way we get a really valid indication of what is going on. Don't have to go look at it on a web SDR or something. You can see it right here. This is before the final bandpass filters on the top one. It's we decided the company decided a long time ago just to show the raw signal before it's finally filtered. So that's why some people get excited and go, wow, look at all these pedestals and stuff, but they're fine. They don't go out. I want to answer his question. And so 50 dB down. This is preliminary. We're not done yet. It might get worse. It might get better. But we can do it.
I like in the upper right-hand corner. It's a little small on my screen. Is that that's a full 500, right? Is that what I'm seeing?
It's sitting at 400.
400. I can't see that.
It says sitting at 400.
Oh, okay.
There's probably a reason for that. It may be that this is a test box. I don't want to stress it. I don't know why. But,
yeah, gotcha. Yeah, there's some extra sidebars over there. In the Aurora. Yeah, I'm assuming
power efficiency on the top.
Oh, is it power efficiency?
Yeah. Now it says it's over 100. These meters are not calibrated yet, so
yeah.
Okay. This is why you don't release it yet, because
so
this is unofficial.
So Jody says, hopefully Rob Sherwood's RX testing is replicated either by him or somebody else, so we can start comparing TX spectral purity. It's been ignored historically. That's a good point, Jody.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very good point.
100%.
Yeah.
And I want to say something regarding Sherwood's, and this is in general, and not that Rob's doing anything wrong or whatever. I know the community, the world, puts a lot of weight on his list.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say this, you've probably heard it before. His list is sorted on one parameter only. And it depends what number is important to you. And the RMDR parameter is a very good parameter, but it's not the be all and end all. But anything in Rob's list in the top 25 or 30 are incredibly good receivers. In the direct sampling SDR world versus superhet, we test superhet radios on a bench with one signal on the receiver side of the world.
Yeah.
Follow me so far?
Yeah.
And we do the same thing on the SDR world. But the interesting thing about the software-defined direct sampling receiver is it actually works better with more signals than the passband.
Oh, yeah.
Where the superhet does not work better with more signals in the passband.
Yeah.
So if you take a superhet and try to listen to sideband during CQ Worldwide DX at the end of October,
it's tough.
It's you've been back and forth.
Yeah.
If you ever get buddy in the shack, you should drag out something. Oh, I don't know, some really good superhet and just put it on and set up a little A/B test, and you're going to go, Like you haven't heard splatter in how long?
Yeah.
You've forgotten what splatter is like.
Right.
Or mushiness. And it's even more apparent on a CW contest where the CW signals get a little mushy on a superhit that doesn't happen on a direct sampling radio.
Well, also, whenever you've been contesting for hours on end,
your brain's mushy.
Your brain is mushy, and those signals, literally, whenever the difference between a superhet and an SDR, I seem to be less. I don't get as tired quickly during contests.
This headache's gone, right?
Yeah, because I'm not literally like dialed in trying to like, pass all of these signals that I don't want to hear and listen to the signal that I want to hear. My radio is doing some of that filtering for me automatically. My SDR is doing some of that brain computations automatically, and there I have more brain capacity to make sure that I don't bust the call, or I can stay at the radio for longer because I'm not getting fatigued, because I'm concentrating so much on making sure that I'm not listening to all of those other signals.
Yep. That way you can then turn on diversity on the low bands and hear the spectrum walk around your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool too. Hi, Len. KD0RC.
Yeah. So let's talk about, we're 37 minutes in. Mike and I are already off script that we talked about on the phone. Let's talk about, no, it's my fault because I'm asking questions and I'm picking on people on the chat. If you have questions for Mike, put them in the chat. But let's talk about adaptive pre-distortion.
Sure. Smart signal, we call it.
Smart signal, we call it in the Flex world. The floor is yours. Go.
So
what is it? Why do I want it? Why is it important to me?
Okay. So Kyle, what do you see in this signal?
I am looking at a single sideband, upper sideband on 20 meters, and looks like a strong signal, but man, is there a lot of splatter on that.
Right. If I can put my mouse down here, so his carrier frequency is 247, right?
Right.
How high up is he splattering?
Good God. He's probably, let's see, 47, 50. I see 6 kilohertz.
247, 54-ish. Yeah, 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
And then down the other side. I listened to this guy, by the way, and I flipped the lower sideband, and I could pretty much understand what he was saying.
Yeah, their signal is great. I mean, it sounds awesome.
Right. That's the problem. It sounds awesome. If you dialed into this person and said, you're splattering, and he goes, well, everybody says my audio is amazing. I went, uh-huh. This is why.
Because they're all over. It's like you might as well be listening to FM at that point.
That's right. So adaptive predistortion. Let's throw the ARRL in here. The ARRL has a program called the Clean Signal Initiative. We've worked on the receivers for years, and now we're getting to cleaning up the transmitters. And the Clean Signal Initiative is about those IMD numbers, quite simply, because if you reduce those numbers, the splatter goes away. In this case, this person, I actually know what they're using for equipment. It's very high-end equipment, but simply put, he's watching his watt meter, probably. He's trying to get maximum RF out, and he's overdriving the mic. Where if you're an SSB operator, you have 1 meter to watch, only one. It's the ALC setting for the mic drop line, and you got to do exactly how the vendor told you to use it.
Yep.
Okay. Except Kenwood. You could drive the crap out of a Kenwood, and it still wouldn't do this. They did a very good job. No, and Tom, it's not ESSB because it would be more full above here. But that's a good question. It rolls off here, but it keeps going. If he was ESSB, the roll off would be 5 kilohertz up or whatever he was setting up. So it's a very good point. So the Clean Signal Initiative is about ensuring you're being a good operator. I don't know. Maybe this is a contester that wants the splatter to keep his channel clear. And I've heard that before.
Yeah.
from a contester on purpose.
That's
And-
that's unacceptable.
So what's a good signal look like? Well, if we just go over here to the right, these signals are really good. There's a little, and by the way, somebody's going to call me out in this later. It's not because I've got 24 dB of preamp turned on. I have 24 dB of preamp turned on because I was using it in 20 meters. Signal's not that strong. He's only 5 over S9.
Yeah.
And it just shows the RF is there. It's not in the receiver. This is in the transmitter.
Yeah. Show where you're getting the 24 preamp up there in the corner.
Right here.
Right up there. So you can turn your preamp on in a setting on your, well, now you've got the Maestro here, but in the
I'll show you in a minute.
in Smart SDR, you've just got a little fader that you can turn the preamp.
By the way, I want to give Flex 1,000% full marks for the fact that if I turn the preamp on and off, the S meter doesn't change.
Right. Yes. That's nice. Yes.
So we have another slide here. That shows all these sideband signals on 40 meters one night. And look at this. Everybody is playing nice.
Everyone in the prison is in their cells.
And they're all beautiful columns.
Yep.
And just to give you an idea. So that's so why do we need it? Where we were getting? Why do we need adaptive predistortion? Well, to make this even cleaner. Anon led the way with it, with their radio.
That's a great little radio.
ICOM, yeah, it's a cool. If you're a real experimenter and tinkerer, it's a great radio for if you're that type of person.
Yep.
You want to play with every possible setting. That's good. ICOM came out with a 7610. It's not adaptive predistortion. It's a static predistortion. So you tune it and it sets. Ours adaptive will continue to update its equalizers because they're audio equalizers that reshape your transmitted audio. And that's true. And there's big pressure from ARL and everybody to bring out adaptive predistortion or smart signal as we call it. And we've already got it out in the field, in beta mode.
Yeah.
There's a lot more work to do. It works.
You can I think you guys put it out with one, you have to have an 8600 or you have to have an 8000 series, right? And two, I think you have to be running Smart SDR version 3.something18, right?
3.9.18 or 19, which we released Tuesday.
So the 19, the latest version, the last
3.9.
3.9. Yep.
Yeah.
The latest versions are the ones to get, right?
Yeah.
But you want to update to the .19, which is the latest and greatest.
Yeah. And I have a video on our YouTube channel, Flex Radio, on what it does and how to play with it.
You do. You have 3 weeks ago. It's called Smart Signal Adaptive Predistortion Overview. It's 5 minutes. It's a quick read.
Yeah, I got to do short videos. I've been told.
Yeah. No, YouTube hates long videos. Yep.
I looked at our analytics. Our watch rate, though, is pretty phenomenal.
Oh, is it up there?
Yeah, it's like 80% through the entire video.
Oh, that's good.
It's like most of them are like 40 seconds.
Oh yeah. People get like, people will click on my videos. I think this is hang on. I'm shrinking. My thing is busted. Hang on.
Most videos are I'll talk what goes on because we have a marketing team we work with, and they said they're way too long. Nobody's going to watch them. And then I show the analytics, and they go, "That's unusual." I went, "Well, yeah, they're proper training videos, but over the 8 years I've been doing them, I've learned but now I'm like, hi, it's Mike. Here's how you set up your mic gain right away. You know, when you go look at how do I fix my toilet running, and
right.
It's like 3 minutes in. I don't really, so I'm trying to make them shorter.
Guys, I think
What'd you break?
I think my chair is broken. It won't stay up.
You're already short enough.
I know. Well, I think somebody just clipped that, and we'll make a clip out of it. Anyway,
Can you pop
yeah.
Tom's comment up? Because
yeah, hang on. Hey, Tom. Let's be clear. You don't have to have adaptive predistortion to put out a clean signal. It just keeps things clean so you don't overdrive things unintentionally. Is this correct?
That's generally in all today's radio. If you pay attention to your mic drive, your ALC, and don't pound the crap out of it, you're going to be generally pretty clean. There's a couple of radios not so good at it, but Tom's exactly correct. But now, hopefully, we can, between that and CESSB, controlled envelope single sideband, and all these things, we can have a punchier signal and still maintain, 2.8 kilohertz of bandwidth or whatever. So, it's ham radio. We get to experiment and look at it. But like in the slide that's up here is a good example. Somebody said it rolls all flex radios and went, no, they're just all really good operators.
Yeah. Steve's got a question. Will the RF2K, you mean the amplifier RF2K?
Yep. Yeah, I know what he means.
Sample port be able to feed back to the 8000 in future releases?
Yeah, we don't see why not. So that minus 55 dB or minus 60 dB, you'd take a BNC cable, RF cable, and plug it into like RXA on the back of the radio for a sampler.
I see. Gotcha. Hang on, I'm shrinking again.
It's like my Trek bike seat. That seat post just won't stay where it's put.
All right. Okay, Amazon, you're gonna get a new chair from me. Jeez, it's this is what I get for buying a crappy chair. So you get a year and a half out of it. Jody says I skip parts of Kyle's videos just to mess with the stats. You should, looking at your stats whenever you're putting videos out or you're a content creator, sometimes is
bullshit.
They can be depressing, but you just gotta power through it. That's how it goes. Sometimes you get a winner, and you might get 3 duds in a row and get down on yourself and be like, I don't want to produce a video anymore. But you just got to keep trucking.
It's well proven. It's all in the name of the video.
That's true.
Mark Roper was a great example who does some amazing videos. Right, you go look at how to do long videos and the guys that do it.
Yeah.
Any more things, Kyle, about adaptive predistortion and why we need it? Hey, we need it because it's geeky.
Yeah.
We need it because it's cleaner. Otherwise you'd still be using your 756 Pro.
Yeah. It's I mean, the great thing about amateur radio and a lot of the vendors, almost all of the vendors, except for a couple that I can think of, they love to innovate, right? And it's a new thing. It's a new thing for us to experiment with. It's something new and exciting. This is the way, Flex doesn't, and ICOM and Yaesu. I mean, look at all of the hubbub that has gone on with the Optima and whatnot.
ICOM with the 905.
Yeah, exactly. It's all cool stuff, and it gets people talking. And Flex is one of those. I think Flex is one of those innovators. And elecraft's another one. The KH1 that came out. I mean, who knew that thing was going to come out? And then everyone was like, "Holy crap!" I can sit on a mountaintop and put this thing in my back pocket and operate single side or CW, and I mean, that thing is amazing. That thing is a head turner. So it's cool. It's all this stuff is really neat.
Why do we buy stuff? Because it's cool.
Exactly. Because we want to experiment with it. We want to some of us just want to keep up with the Joneses, but it is serving a need. Like let's take the KH1. Let's say I sold all of my mountain toppers and I just want the KX1 because it's an elecraft radio. It does all the things that I want to, and it's small form factor. It checks all the boxes.
Kyle, if you gave up ham radio, you could probably retire tomorrow.
I probably could. That is a very true statement, because I looked at every year, obviously everyone does their taxes, and I have one credit card. Don't hack me. I have one credit card, and I put everything on my credit card, and then I I sort it. The Chase credit card classifies everything, and then I go back in and I like reclassify, like all the stuff, and I put all the ham radio stuff, and I tally up all of the ham radio stuff, and every year it grows by like $1,500. And I'm like, I spent way too much money on ham radio. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Well, that was like when I got on 10 gig. Bought a 705, the transverter, resurrected a dish.
Yeah.
The beauty of the hobby is never stop experimenting. One of my Elmers told me this when I was 15. I got my ticket when I was like 14 or 15. And I can remember his call time, V3 Bravo Victor. His name was Joe. And he said, don't get stuck in one part of the hobby. There's just so much of it. And this is in 1974. Which was, what was there?
As the year I was born. It was me. It was the year of me.
Now I know how old you are. So what was there back then? We had AM, CW, sideband was just coming in.
Yeah.
And FM and repeaters was just starting.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think he wanted me sitting there stuck on 75 meters all day talking about my meds.
There was that going on back then too?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's get some of the comments here. Jody says an adaptive pre-distortion market is also the same reason there's a time sync market for the guys that want
they want the 10 megahertz references.
Because
you can.
Because you can. Yep.
Sure. I have all my scopes and everything tied to my 6600M, and
now that we've got good waterfall displays, bad actors are much more easily identified. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Andy and I sit here during the day and dial around in HF, and he'll slack me, go look at 14221. Where do you think I get all these screenshots from?
Yeah. I mean, for those of you that are watching and you haven't experienced using an SDR radio, it doesn't matter if it's Flex or if it's ICOM or Yaesu. All of my mentors said you have to listen first, and everyone says you have to listen, and I agree, you have to listen. But man, does it become a lot easier to just do dumb things like try and find a place to run in a contest on the band, because you can physically see what's going on.
I couldn't do a contest without a waterfall today.
Yeah.
I tried. No, especially you're looking for a run frequency. Oh, right. Yeah, no, nothing's been said in 3 inches.
Yep. It's nice. I mean, your picture there where everyone, is kind of spaced, and I'm sure that's not a contest weekend or whenever you took that snapshot. But man, is it nice whenever everyone is like just all in their own 3 kilohertz band, and you can see all of the stations, and especially whenever you're searching and pouncing, you're just spinning that dial or you're turning that mouse and you're going up every 3 kilohertz and just knocking them out, and you can see them. You can see where it's, it's spaced out and they're nice and neat. It's nice.
Yeah. You'll bring up Len, Katie Zero's RC comment.
Yeah. Where's that at? Come on, Len. So
Len, if you're on the Flex Radio community, Len is one of our Elmers as well. So he drank the Kool-Aid a long time ago.
Yeah,
but
he's been there for a while.
Yeah, but Len's written a lot of software things as well that integrate with Flex Radio. He's got a different number of programs. He built his own Maestro, and there's a whole project about that.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yes,
and very, very smart person, wonderful guy. And finally got to meet him at Hamvention this year. And so if you drop in and is really good at providing, he's one of those good Elmers that you get on these forums and people ask a question and it's either like, read the manual, or that's not how it works. And I always try and say, good idea, good question. Everything's a good question, but and Len's really good about helping out and teaching people about, I didn't know it was broken. And yeah, this is what you want to look for. And I urge all of you listening that if you're helping somebody out, please keep this in mind, because hopefully that's how you were Elmered in the past.
Everyone starts from zero. Remember that. You started from zero at one point for whatever. Ham radio, learning to play the guitar, fishing. Doesn't matter what it is. Everyone starts from zero.
Yep.
I think I talked to Len. I think I opened a support ticket, and I think Len, he was my first contact.
Yeah, Len doesn't work on our support team, but he is in the community. You would have talked to probably Ken.
Ken, that's who I'm.
Yeah.
Yes. I get Ken and Len. Yeah. Yep. I think I've stuck my foot in my mouth too much tonight. All right. What else do we got, guys? We're coming to the end here. I've embarrassed myself so many times this week between the antenna rotor, putting that thing. Did you see that stream where I lost my shit twice on stream 2 days in a row? Just couldn't handle it. Just, I mean,
there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Full breakdown. Total full breakdown.
Go watch stream. Kyle losing his shit. It's after 9, right? I can say that.
Yeah.
Hey, we all have, as they said, I have a physics teacher. I'm in grade 12 or 11 and 12 that I'm still in touch with. Failing's a learning experience. Don't be afraid to try something. Don't be afraid to fail. It never worked for women, but for everything else, it worked fine.
So let's hang on. Let's here's the Flex Radio YouTube page. You probably should go and subscribe. Got a lot of good videos out there.
Go watch the interview with Tony, Kilo 1 Kilo Papa. He's our it's on the next row down. Or that one too. And that's
down.
with Gerald. Tony was our lead developer on this, and I had to use the intro, and wow. You get to meet these people. We know a lot about ham radio. I feel, I'm not going to say dumb, but I feel I know so little when you sit down and talk to people like this.
Yeah.
And they're so humbling. They're wonderful people, and they love to teach and what goes on, and it's a good watch.
Yeah. Flexradio.com, boys and girls. Here's the website. Take a look at amateur radio systems. You got Power Genius, Tuner Genius, PGXLs. Here's the Maestro, some accessories. Here's the Aurora. Let's take a look at the 5. So just real quick, you got the 510 and the 520. What are the differences here, Mike?
So I'll tell them, if you know the 6000 and 8000 series. So you can understand the M, which is the front panel with or without. So the 510M and the 520M. So the difference between the 510 and the 520 is like the difference between a 400 series, like an 8400 and an 8600. So after the first 5 is for 500 watts. The next digit is how many SCUs. No, there won't be a 530 with 3 SCUs. And it would be a 540, but no. Well, you never know, right? Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what price it starts at. It sounds a little scary, but if you were to go out and buy an 8400 and then an amp and a tuner and a power supply, it's less than that, a 500 watt. So it starts at $61.99. And we were trying really hard to ship in August, and I know we're saying we're going to ship in Q4 of this year. It looks like it's going to be very early Q4 of this year.
Oh, nice. As
of today. Today is what, July 9th? 10th? 11th?
10th. No.
So just as a reference. So this changes daily. But right now, and we've got a letter going out to all our people who have one in order that has some more details on it. But the goal is sooner into the Q4. But you never know. Something may roll along. But we're through most of the EMI testing and stuff. It all passed. That's not a cheap bill, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just do something here. It's $2,500 for the radio. Okay. So let's go out and let's do an elecraft
KPA 500.
KPA 500. Let's do amplifier. Actually, I got to go to a price list here. Let's see. Quick order products.
Quick order.
And then amps. And okay, a KPA 1500. Oh no, that's a 1500. Let's go to a 500.
500 with a tuner.
With a tuner. You want to do a tuner in it? No.
Yeah, because I'm giving you a tuner too. So you have to have a tuner.
Okay, but I don't think.
Maybe you have to buy it separate. Okay, so you got a KPA 500 built.
Yeah.
It's 3274 or it's 3350.
3350. Okay, so let's add this plus 3350. Okay, you're up to $5,800.
Yeah.
And now you need a tuner. So let's give me a 500 watts tuner here. How much is this bad boy? Is it going to say price
list?
Oh, it's okay, combo. Okay, combo. Let's do a combo. So that's $4,200. Okay, so let's back this out. So 2,500 for the flex plus $4,200 is 67. We don't have a power supply in there yet. So let's just be
150.
You want to do 150? Really? Okay, let's do that. 150. So we're at.
That's an average. You can get a power supply for $150. I might not buy that one, but you
Okay.
could.
So we're at 6850. What is the lowest Aurora 500 going to be selling at?
$61.99.
You've already saved $700. 650.
That's a lot of good wine.
That's a lot of good. That's a lot of bourbon.
We can't get Kentucky bourbon here in Canada anymore.
Well,
but we won't go there.
Yeah. I don't know if you can get it in Missouri anymore. So, yeah. I mean, here you can buy yourself I mean, you know, I have not put full disclosure. I have not put an order in. Whenever I order my Flex things, I do not get a discount. I buy them at full price, just like everyone else. Flex has never given me a discount. Just full disclosure here. But I mean, you're saving if you went out and bought this combo with a power supply and you bought an Aurora, you'd be saving $600, at least $600, maybe even more. Tom,
you're gonna get a quiet receiver too, because you now don't have to choke all those cables.
Right.
You less common mode current, less. Did we talk about this? I know we talked about it before. So you have common mode currents to deal with when you have all those cables. RF is not fussy in the receive area as well, et cetera, et cetera. So, and much cleaner.
Yeah.
Installation. Yeah.
I mean, Craig K9CT I saw a presentation with him and he had a bunch of elecraft in his contest station and he showed a before and after where literally it was a rat's nest full of cables and then it was like 4 cables. You know, it's the power cable, the RF, you know, the antenna, and then I think power for the Maestro and an Ethernet cable, and that was it.
And today you can drop into the 520 or the Flex 8600, and you have a full-blown SO2R station with bandpass filters. You don't have to add a thing.
Yeah.
With OTRSP control for your audio.
Yeah.
It's done. One box.
Tom, I don't think so. I think it's a 3-to-1, right, Mike?
Our tuner's a 3-to-1.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is common. I think, you know, the elecraft tuners and what are the what are the other external tuners? I've got one of those small ones. LDC.
You are. This is late for you, right?
Yeah, I know.
No, I could have told you until you said something.
I know. And now I screwed you
LDG.
up. LDG, yes. Those are, pretty good tuners. I think some of the MFJs, they still make tuners now? They still make anything anymore?
No.
No.
So your tuners today are Palstar,
Palstar, yeah.
403A, Tuner Genius series. Some MFJ units are still around. There's probably a LDG, which makes a whole bunch of really good tuners. I know there's one more that slips my mind. Oh, well, of course, Elecraft makes their KAT 500.
Yep. Steve has got the right answer here. Resonant antennas are always better anyhow. That is
Hallelujah.
That is the correct answer. That is the correct answer.
Somebody asked on Facebook really quickly, what's the biggest myth in ham radio? And that was, my answer was that good SWR fixes everything.
I would say FT8.
Is it a big myth?
All right. It's getting late. I can feel
you
the
need to go
comments.
to bed, man.
I need to go to bed. All right. Mike, anything else you want to?
No. If you, seriously, if you're interested, reach out to us, Aurora at flexradio.com. You can phone. I'll admit email's the best. If you phone, you're probably going to have to leave a voicemail. We'll get back to you. We really do get back to people on the phone. Hams like to talk a lot. There isn't one single phone call we get that doesn't go, hey, when's something shipping? Oh, like next week. Good. And then it's still 30 minutes later because we start talking about ham radio equipment. So sometimes you got a lot of stuff to do and it's just inefficient. So that's, I'm being brutally honest, but we do get back to everybody. Flex community.flexradio.com is a ton of good information.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can dialogue. There's a whole Aurora area there or any product. And believe it or not, we have I have 10,200 members on the Flex Enthusiast Facebook channel and 19 trolls.
Only 19?
That I know of.
I just saw 19 today. What are you talking about? You know who you guys are.
I also know who actually owns the radio.
So some of the comments are outrageous, and I just shake my head. I'm just like, all right, whatever.
535-4713.
Joey.
It's on the website.
He's trolling. He's trolling. He's trolling you. All right, guys. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
And you're right. You know what? It will not cook a burrito. It doesn't run hot enough.
Oh, the Aurora won't. Right.
Oh, right. Anyway, Kyle, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going for a swim. It's dark here, but it's still, the lake's at 27 Celsius, which is really warm. It's pushing 80 Fahrenheit.
Oh, wow.
And I'm at 44 degrees north latitude where the cottage is. We have no air conditioning. You can tell by the windows that this is a 100-year-old building.
Yeah.
Because those are soldered stained glass type windows with clear paint.
I saw them. Yeah.
And, but I'm sitting here just trying to look at it. I'm soaked from the humidity.
Well, it's hot down here in Missouri too, so I feel you. But all right. Well, Mike, thank you again. Appreciate it. We'll have you on. Maybe what we'll do is we'll have a shipping party for Aurora.
Hopefully in a couple of weeks. We've built 10 or 15 of these. It's still not enough for me to get one. But hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll have mine.
Oh, and we can just put it through the ringer.
We'll put it through the ringer and I'll have it online. We'll go out in the boathouse and I'll be beating off mosquitoes but we'll get it hooked up to you know what? It's a great rate. You stick this with a DX Commander.
Yeah.
I've got one of those antennas. I bought one to play with, and I'll give Callum some kudos there. He built a really nice antenna. Yeah.
It's we've used it for field day and Missouri QSO party and other operating events. It's good. It hears really well, and people say that we get, or I hear good signal reports out of it.
The 9, I have I think the 9.1 or whatever. It actually works on 80 meters.
Oh, really?
Because it's center loaded, so they did a nice job.
And you just have it coming off the mast, and then you got it go into another tree.
No, it's shortened on 80.
Oh,
But I get on the net in 80 and I'll go A/B flipping from my inverted V at 80 feet and go, you might have dropped a half an S unit.
Mm,
Whereas my HF6V, if I go to 80, that's just a long dummy load.
yeah. It's the problem on 80. Yeah.
So I was impressed. I should go finish tuning it. Maybe tomorrow.
There's always tomorrow.
There's always
Okay.
tomorrow. 73, everybody.
73. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Secular.